First,
He's clawing
the
my
cat.
leg!
He wants more attention.
You little shit. I love you, but I hate you. No,
You son of a bitch. Come here and get some cuddles.
He draws power from my blood, I'm sure. Anyway, so yeah, what do you want to do?
You're his aspirant level.
Right.
I'm gonna assume... What's the name? What's Astrid? I'm assuming Astrid's probably at that war meeting thing?
She's at the war camp, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I kind of want to talk to her, but I don't want to interrupt that war camp thing.
You can follow up with her later.
Yeah.
Because the meeting's not going to last the whole night.
Yeah. I think... I think what it would be like... She would probably also be interested in that meeting, but she does want to follow up with Astrid like afterwards and talk to her.
Okay, well, you can participate in the joining on the meeting. I'm not gonna do the meeting today, or at all. It's gonna be a narrative thing. And then follow out with her thereafter. The meeting's not that long. It takes like 30 minutes. It's more over Maxine talking about what just happened, what information was gleaned from the prisoner, what likely happened. Kasai does bring up that she's not surprised.
Do any of the druids end up talking to the canines? The direwolves? Because they were nearby. They might have heard them.
That's a good point. Well, let's roll for them.
Yeah. It's one of the few instances where having the animals around might actually provide information.
How about you guys roll for Fang and roll for Ripper? Perception with advantage. Because keen hearing or some shit. And apparently we've established that these direwolves are intelligent enough to understand commons, so...
Keen hearing smell, where is...
Yo, Fang, let's go!
Damn it, I forgot to press advantage. Well, here's the second one. Hi,
they both get 22. They have the same level of information, which I guess sort of makes sense. According to the wolves, the Enlightener was trying to talk to Matkos to convert. And that only made Matkos more and more mad. That, first off, he's even offering that he's dumb enough to think that he's dumb enough to accept it. So on and so forth. And he got closer and closer and closer. He left the door, he went into the room, and then everything went to shit.
Yeah, it sounds like he was dumb enough to fall for the actual trap. To his...
So, that's more or less what happened. In fairness, he didn't break free, in fairness.
Right.
Unless you count escaping from life unto death as freedom, then yes, I guess he did.
I want to break free.
Yeah. The war meeting happens. It's people talking about what the prisoner got, what he's likely to tell, which is more where Kasai brings in stuff because Renee's not around necessarily. We'll get to that later. What the plan is going forward. Down a man now, but you guys still have had a string of victories. Favor is in your war favor, so to speak, is leaning on you guys. So the plan is, I imagine, relatively unchanged. I imagine the information gets disseminated about the Watcher and what it was doing. Failed at that, even. Kore's curse continues. So, the plans remain unchanged. And then something else happens. And then, meeting is dispersed. Maxine wishes everyone a good night. To those of you that are STEMken, may grandfather's love be upon you. And to all of you, good luck in the coming bouts tomorrow. It's gotta be a lot. I will say Kasai does bring up one thing during the meeting. That her tribe is similar. As much as it is poison in her mouth to say it. And her tribe went out in a blaze of glory. Except her, obviously. Or she wouldn't be here. She just says, be ready for that. that perhaps their new goal isn't to win, it's to lose poorly, taking whatever they can with them. A petty thing, but an enlightener thing, truly.
It still would be a victory for them, even if it's complete destruction.
Mutually assured destruction, yes. She just brings that up. But again, the muse is dispersed, and all of you shuffle and file out. Everyone begins getting ready for the night, for tomorrow, so on and so forth. Astrid, being a figure that doesn't need to sleep, just is content with training more. And that's when you catch her.
No, Garth's on the spot and he's panicking. Yeah, she would just make her presence known. Not that she'd make her presence known so that she can have a moment of Astrid's time if she's like practicing.
As you make your presence known, like you sort of clear throat, and Astrid's in the midst of like practicing a series of flurries, stabbing flurries, and doesn't even stop. But she does say, "What is it?"
I wanted to ask what your opinion on that situation is.
What in specific? Having a prisoner, keeping the prisoner in our camp, the death.
More the end result, yes.
I think it is a shame. And I wonder now if the prisoner was never really a prisoner. But there's no point in stewing on it now. From the sounds of it, whatever plan they had was foiled predominantly, outside of the loss of the Stemcan villager.
As well as some minor armaments, but nothing major because everyone had their gear.
Why do you ask?
Oh, I'm not entirely sure. It's just... There's a lot. And
there is.
Yes, and as much as I'm, for lack of better terms, the student of war, it's... I don't think I've ever been in something this grand of scale.
Pray that you never do again. Battle is a bloody affair. What is the phrase? It is good that war is so painful to be a part of, lest we grow fond of it. That being said, that certainly hasn't stopped many people in the south and here in the north. There's never any indication to that.
I suppose there's zealots for every cause.
Steel your mind to it. Close your heart to it. Just like in the pitch of battle, there's nothing else to focus on except what can be done here and now. We cannot bring back the man departed. We can fight for him, though. And she, like, flings a blade at one of the target dummies. And she just holds out her hand, and then it shoots back to her.
Or I just, like, looks between the dummy and her, like, real quick, just like... Magic?
Not magic in an overt sense, no. I suppose it's just... And she, like, twirls the blade. What happens? In due time, I imagine, if you get as far as I, you'll have something similar. I know Marsha Militides has such. Tala herself as well. Your weapons become more than a metaphorical extension of it. They become a literal part of you.
Oriana just
mind,
nods
body, and soul.
In some level of understanding. much more base level of understanding than what she has, though. Is this what you learned from tutors or from just experience?
That my sword comes back to me at my beck and call. That is nothing taught to me. That was something granted.
I meant more the wisdom that you're being very generous and sharing with me.
There's no generosity in sharing words of wisdom. It is one of the world's most important currencies. I suppose yes. Something I've learned through my time, through the centuries. Being stuck. Being free for a spell.
Garth doesn't know what to say. How long have you been free? Also, what were you free from? Ah, well... She does say the sense of what you're free from, but she kind of cuts herself off at the end because I think she puts it together in her head.
She looks at you with a bemused look on her face. Well, what you could see of her face. I've been free for some years now. Second of such. My brother in arms has been free for a decade. Our vanguard, first out. Wonder where he is.
Garth feels bad that he can't remember the name of the character because I know exactly who you're talking about. It definitely shows on Oriana's face of just like, what's the name? What's the name? What's the name?
Beginning of a D.
Phil.
Dominic.
Yeah, no, definitely Phil. What was it?
Dominic.
It was Dominic. Okay. My brain was saying Damon, but I was like, no, or Damien or something like that. It's like,
No, that's a guy hanging out in the south that works with the Void, sorry.
He's busy. Dominic, right?
Correct. Knight Dominic, the forward blade. He still kept up that chipper spirit, even in captivity.
That is a very resolute
She looks
man.
off and away, reminiscently.
Do you lot have any plans of teaching others by chance? I can't beat around the bush.
I can teach you, although know that I am not a very capable teacher. Not compared to Miss Tala, certainly. I'm much more selfish. And there are things where I can't teach you. I am a knight duelist specialized. Miss Tala knows many a technique. And there will be times where I cannot teach you that which I know, simply because you won't be able to grasp it.
I agree with your sentiment of Tala would, and no offense, probably be a better teacher, because it's her life, it's her goal, it's what she strives for.
Then why ask me, Miss Oriana?
There is some... I don't fully understand it, but there's some itch in my head that's... You're the reason Vindacio is what it is. And if Vindacio wasn't what it is, I wouldn't be here. It's a thing of...
There are many reasons why Vindacio is the way it is, Miss Oriana. I can only hold 1/5 of a percent of that.
Yes, but...
The city earned its own title. Sylph War's culture earned its own.
Yes.
The capital and the special watch as well. You have no clue about the special watch part.
Yeah, just over that.
Yeah, no one knows about that shit. That's like sort of the point.
Just shove that information somewhere in her head. If the name ever pops up again, maybe bring that up.
Well, you know what the Special Watch is. Everyone knows what it is.
Yeah, it's like that.
The same way everyone knows what the KGB is.
Yeah. But still, if it was a case of you had never shown up and I was simply met with Tala, I would most assuredly go after that. But it's a cosmic coincidence sort of sensation.
There are no such things as that.
Right.
Let me tell you that
here now. Which is why it's itching my head.
I can teach you.
If you would have me as a student.
I have my own quests.
Hmm.
You have your own mission. I heard. I'm not going to follow you. And if you try to follow me, I'd honestly find it offensive.
I also imagine that anything that you would come across would probably be out of my league.
I don't know. There aren't dragons everywhere. There aren't archdemons everywhere. The world is what it is. Some days are harder than others.
If you would allow me to be a student, I would gladly be such.
For the time being, you should concern yourself with the engagements tomorrow. As I understand it, it is you and your company that will be assassinating the leader, while we draw attention from the eyes of the sky.
Jeez, even with the forces you have at your back, I don't know which one relatively will be harder.
The world doesn't care how strong we are. That is why we must be unrelenting in trying to be better. But, allow me to say it here and now. There is nothing wrong with moments of jubilation. Like what happened with your lot earlier. You might think the Tabaxi are foolish, conniving sorts, cheeky, prank story. And perhaps they are. I have no place to say that. I don't know them that well. But know this. Just as I said that Dominic never lost his chip of spirit even when we were held in a cursed gem for centuries. Sometimes you need such people in your life. A light amidst the darkness. That flicker of hope that keeps you going. Or else you might lose yourself. Relish those moments. Sometimes they are unexpected and perhaps frustrating. I'm well aware. I assure you, Dominic, despite being a knight, was not without his own boyish spirit at times. But it's important. Just as much as training relentlessly. Just as much as the humility. Do not lose the light in you. And do not let it grow cancerous like the Enlighteners. It is good to be down to earth.
It's a balance.
As everything in life, yes. If you wish to train, then train. I'll be doing my own training. I'm not Tala. I won't be focusing on teaching this evening.
That's fair. That's understandable.
But perhaps if I see you off and away in the corner of my eye, I might be able to give you instruction on how to do better. But a knight shouldn't make promises they can't keep.
Which is why it's kept at a might, and not a you will.
She nods, like, yep.
Oriana bows just deeply. As much respect as she could throw into this fucking bow.
Shield of a hand.
Ah.
The age of knights in our honor is over, I'm afraid. No point in bowing to me. I'm just a knight errant.
I still would rather do it out of respect. At least for what your time meant.
Do as you will.
And she does her thing. And then she doesn't say anything. She just kind of nods and goes off to do training off in a corner or something.
And there you have it.
Probably not as good of training as it could be, because she is still exerted.
You do still have exhaustion, yes. But that doesn't affect your attack rolls. In technicality.
Oh yeah, you're right. It's ability checks, right. When does it affect attack rolls?
If it affected your attack rolls on the first one, exhaustion is the shittiest thing ever. Which is why at some point I'm going to redesign Berserker Barbarian, because that shit's dumb as shit.
Yeah. It's the third
I can attack as a bonus action for 1 minute. I take an exhaustion that I can't lose.
I can only do it 6 times before dying.
I can only do 6 times before I die, yeah. I heard someone talk about it. It's because Berserkers try to be like a carryover of the fatigue system in older editions, but there is no fatigue in 5e. They have exhaustion, and it is not the same.
Yeah, it was a good idea.
You.
Didn't work out. They definitely should have eroded it by now.
They should have eroded, and at this point, I think they just forgot about it.
If they just made
That's what homebrew's for, baby!
Yeah, if they just made it where they had like a fatigue system that works similar to like Jack of all trades almost, where it's like you exert and then you have like a minus some amount to your shit, then maybe.
Maybe. Something for later. I still technically didn't finish Doll Mage.
Ha ha ha.
Mostly that just needs a spell.
We're not can't die yet, it's fine.
Techniques. So, let's change gears over to Mr. Rodan.